In this pencast, we'll be talking about finding perimeters. We're told a rectangle with area 240 square yards has one side that is 6 yards less than 3 times the length of the other side. Find the perimeter. The first thing we're going to want to do is define one of the sides of the rectangle. It doesn't matter which side we choose, so for this, let's choose this left side to be x. The next thing you're going to want to do is translate the description of the other side from English into math. We're told that the side is 6 yards less than 3 times the length of the other side. The length of the other side is x, because we defined it that way. So this side is going to be 3 times that length, so 3 times x, and we know it's 6 yards less than that, so minus 6. A common mistake is to put the 6 out in front and say 6 minus 3x. However, that is not the case for this one. We need to make sure that we have 3 times the length minus 6. The next thing we're going to want to do is relate this to area. We know that the area of a rectangle is length times width, and we're told that the area is 240 square yards. Now in this problem we don't have something defined as length and width. However, we know that the length of the rectangle we have is 3x minus 6, and the width of the rectangle we have is x. So we can rewrite the area formula as x times 3x minus 6 equals 240. From here, all we have to do is solve for x. The first thing to do is distribute the x across the negative 3x, or the positive 3x, and the negative 6, giving us 3x squared minus 6x equals 240. This is a quadratic, so we need to make sure that we set it equal to 0 in order to solve. We do that by subtracting 240 from both sides, giving us 3x squared minus 6x minus 240 equals 0. From here we can divide both sides by 3, giving us x squared minus 2x minus 80 equals 0. And then from here, all we have to do is factor. We can do this two ways. We could either use the quadratic formula, or we could straight factor this using any of the methods that you know. If we factor it, we'll see that we get x minus 10 times x plus 8 equals 0. We can check that by foiling, and you'll see that it does indeed give us x squared minus 2x minus 80. From here, we set each of the terms equal to 0 and solve. So we have x minus 10 equals 0 and x plus 8 equals 0. Adding 10 to both sides gives us x equals 10, and subtracting 8 from both sides gives us x equals negative 8. Now we can't have two solutions, or we can, but when we're doing real life situations we have to remember to make sure that the solutions make sense in real life. Is it really possible to have a negative length? Not really. So we know that this solution, x equals negative 8, does not satisfy the real life problem, which means that x, or the side of the rectangle, has to be 10. Now we know that we have a relationship between the side and the length, or the width and the length of the rectangle, so we can plug the 10 in. So if we say this equals 10, we'll know that this side, the long side, is 3 times 10 minus 6, which is 24, because 30 minus 6 is 24. Now we need to solve for the perimeter, since that's the final thing that we're looking for. There's two different ways we can do this. If you recall, the perimeter is the sum of all the sides of the shape. That means that the perimeter is going to be the length plus the width plus the length plus the width for the rectangle, which becomes 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. We know that the length for this is going to be 24 and the width is going to be 10, so we can say 2 times 24 plus 2 times 10 gives us 48 plus 20, which is 68 yards. We could also just add up the length of the sides without plugging into any of the formulas. And then since we know that the length over here is 10 and the width is 10 and the length is 24, it's going to be 10 plus 24 plus 10 plus 24, which also equals 68. And that's how we're going to find the perimeter of a rectangle.